All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us with another episode of How Would You Slice That? If you're first joining us and you're not familiar with the show, we are live on Tuesdays that are prime numbers, so like 17. And we try to combine a little bit of community time with a little bit of maybe learning time. Sometimes we're a little more in the learning, and sometimes we're a little more in the community, and sometimes we have the right balance. My name is Vicky Soma, and my co-host here is Dr. Lawrence Nightingale. Thank you,
Hey,
Lawrence,
Vicky.
for joining us.
Good. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. It's always good to talk about how we would slice that. Yes.
And it's been a while. I think our last show was in January. So, what have you been up to?
Well, let's see here. My mother's birthday was on last Tuesday. My daughter's birthday was yesterday.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, yeah, and she's a big fan of cats. So I printed this little cute little kitten as like a bag topper for her birthday gifts.
Oh my gosh, look at the cute
Yeah.
little eyes.
Yeah, and I did it with point at a point four, with a point four nozzle, and the resolution turned out very very well. So I was really impressed with that. Really impressed with that. And then also a friend of mine who's really into tools. Like I printed up. I've got this filament from 3D Fuel that looks like a tool manufacturer's color, and this is to hold a drill and all of your bits while you're in the field. Printed one of those up for one of my friends, and yeah, that's not a lot of stuff, but that's been about what I've been doing with 3D printing since the last time we talked. Those are the two most notable things.
Oh,
Anyhow,
so yeah,
my
like the functional and you have the cute.
absolutely my lab at Nova, I've got I had one technician that had to stop working for a while, and so we're working with the business class on their business ideas and putting those together. That's coming along okay. We're gonna we have to get in there and really start producing for them, and then also really what's really happening when you talk about community, 3D printing is like a tool that is kind of supporting or creating community right now at that 3D lab. On my campus, we're going to be having a talent show and fashion show, and
Oh
so
yeah.
we actually pulled down a design from Maker World, and we're going to be printing the trophies for first, second, and third place, and customizing it with the location, Nova Woodbridge, first place winner for the talent show, that kind of thing. Really doing our best to kind of lean into marrying up ease of production with customization. So it's been doing a lot of stuff to really try to support the campus, and not just be unto and only the 3D printing as the only thing we've been doing. How about you? What's been happening in your world?
Okay. Um, well, there's going to be a little bit of a plot twist here. There might be an awkward moment, but I think it'll come around back to heartwarming.
Sure.
Last time we had an episode, I was talking about how we were getting ready to do a head of mommy build party. So
Yes.
my sons, my nieces, we were doing we were printing all our parts and everything like that. And we did do our head of mommy build party, and I was able to pull off my mountain laurel themed
Wow.
headphones, and you could see I have tons of little sketches everywhere where I was trying to figure out I was going to make my mountain laurel flowers and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Our Had a Mommy build party was just a wonderful, delightful day. It was just really neat seeing everybody's vision come together, and they made all their headphones and everything. And my mom lives with us, so
Mm-hmm.
she got to have all of her grandchildren under the same roof and spend a whole afternoon with them as they're building and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Unfortunately, we didn't know, and she didn't know. My mom had two large aneurysms in her brain, And
Mm-hmm.
maybe about 90 minutes after we finished our headphones, she lost consciousness
Oh
and
my goodness.
later died. So that's
Oh, I'm
that's
sorry
the
to hear
awkward
that.
part. We're getting through it. Um,
Sure.
so these headphones, like, they could go either way, you know? Like, I could look at these headphones and, like, be reminded of, like, the stress and the uncertainty and all the emotions of that day. But I've found the opposite is true because, like many of my 3D printing projects, my mother was involved in the creative process. So, like, she's lived with us for 15 years. She's been a part of my entire 3D printing journey. And there's a lot
Wow.
of things. I overthink a lot of things. There's a lot of things that I run by her. For
Uh-huh.
example, with these headphones, I
Uh-huh.
didn't know. Did I wanna do pink centers or did I wanna do green centers? Did I wanna do pink centers? Did I wanna do green centers? And
Uh-huh.
it was, it was unanimous. I asked a lot of people, but my mother was one of the people that were like, "You should go with pink," and that's what I
Oh,
did, and
I
so
agree.
now I was already in love with these headphones their first 90 minutes, and now I'm just, like, more fiercely connected to them, because it's
It's wonderful.
something I designed with my mom. So hopefully, like,
Wonderful. Yeah.
awkward back to heartwarming, hopefully.
Well, but I mean, but it's a human story. It's something that I think that a lot of times we we take this kind of this practice of 3D printing and we try to isolate it. But it is a part of our lives, and it does underscore a lot of things that we've done. Um, just like you have been 3D printing for a long time, and somebody asked me, I was at a party just last on Sunday. My daughter was there, and they said, have you ever printed any rockets for your daughter? I'm like, yeah, I got a picture of her holding a little rocket when she was about 2.5, 3 years old that I had printed for her. It was almost as tall as her, and so I mean, I think it's a very, very relatable way that to see, how this practice permeates so many different parts of our lives. And so sorry for your loss, but
Oh,
that's a
yeah.
great story. That's a great story for sure.
Thank you.
You're
And,
welcome.
you mentioned your daughter, like, with the little rocket, and now
Yeah.
she's, quite a bit older, and the same thing with my son Sagan. I think he was 3 when I started, 3D printing, so we have a lot of little pictures of him with little toys and stuff like that when he was little,
Uh-huh.
little.
Uh-huh.
And this past year, he was a first-time exhibitor at 3D Printopia.
Oh wow.
Which is a segue to our guest, who is also a first-time exhibitor in 3D Printopia in 2025. Are you ready for me to introduce him?
Please do.
All right, Lawrence. All right, in this day and age where we're surrounded by technology, we can get desensitized to the everyday wonder. And tonight's guest is combating that with 3D printing and physics. He aims to create, quote, little moments of magic with his designs. And these moments of magic often combine light and movement to make animation with no electronics. His designs are resonating with people. His models have been downloaded over 34,000 times.
Oh my
He's
goodness.
won Maker World Contest awards. He's even hosted a Maker World contest of his own, which had 715 entries this year.
Wow.
He and his animated holiday ornaments have been featured on local news, and you may have caught him recently on Meet the Polymaker. And finally, his first crowdfunding project. It's got 8 more days left, but it's already raised more than 3 times its original goal. So tonight,
Amazing.
we are welcoming Prime Tower Designs, and we look forward to hearing how he believes that engineering plus art makes magic, or
All right.
equals magic is the exact phrase. So welcome, Mike from Prime Tower Designs. Hello.
Hey Mike.
Thank you so much, Vicky and Lawrence, for having me on.
No problem. Thanks for coming.
Here. And I loved hearing your heartwarming stories. And
Had a mommy headphone story.
yeah,
Yes.
and sorry for your loss as well. But
Oh, thank you, Mike.
yeah, 3D printing for me has I started as well with my son. So like I have all this kind of attachments as well. In terms of how I started in this whole thing, like it was not like any sort of big planned activity. It was, I got them a printer and everything's progressed from there. And I printed so much for them. Like, it started out with like toys and boomerangs and things, and so I always those early days.
Yeah, I printed out boomerangs too, as a matter of fact. Yes, absolutely.
One of the easy first prints, I guess, right? It's a basic shape, but they're expensive to buy and inexpensive to print. And if you lose one in the tree, you print another.
Yeah, I definitely lost a couple in the trees that I had printed. So absolutely. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
I've never printed a boomerang. I think one of the early prints I did whistles.
Yes.
Whistles.
Okay. Those can get loud.
Yes. Oh yeah. Well, that's the whole point of them, is to get the highest decibel from the smallest package. I've definitely done those too. Absolutely. So you mentioned you started printing, and you're doing it for doing things for your son. What was your first printer?
Yeah, so I bought for both my sons, so they really had enjoyed 3D printing at school. So as a joint birthday gift, we got them a P1S.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, so not all that long ago, I guess.
Not long ago at all.
About 2 years at this point. Yeah.
Wow.
And so I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, well, you really enjoyed it because things have just really taken off for you since then. So what were some of your earlier designs that you had done?
So when I started, I was mostly just printing things for them, right? It wasn't I didn't really have a plan to get started, or some like little things that we would need around the house. I didn't really start on design until a family event where instead of doing like place cards, we decided to do like coasters that had people's names on them. So they were all set up, and I used like the what do you call it? Like the prismatic plate. So it was like all rainbow shimmery.
Oh yes.
It was a cool effect.
Yes.
But I didn't want to, it was like over 100 people. So I didn't want to like individually model, the names for each one of them. So I have a programming background. So it was pretty easy to pick up OpenSCAD and just, knock through it and make a whole bunch of them. So that was really kind of where I started with anything. I wasn't planning on putting anything online, but around the same time, Maker World was having like an OpenSCAD contest, and I don't even think I made the deadline for it. But just seeing all this OpenSCAD stuff people were posting, I'm like, oh, I could post some of that, see how it does. So I started out with like a simple ring and some build plate tags and things, just very basic stuff in OpenSCAD. The community reaction was outstanding. Just kept encouraging me to do more and try more things.
Wow, that's great. That is great. So OpenSCAD, I have definitely dabbled with OpenSCAD. Have you ever done anything with OpenSCAD, Vicki?
I sure have. Actually, you were reminding me, Mike. One time we were doing I was helping my husband with a Take Your Daughters to Work day, and we printed out all of their names, but it was an open. I used to say OpenSCAD, but now I say OpenSCAD.
SCAD.
So, but I don't care.
I guess you know the people, right? So if I'm saying it wrong, I will correct myself. It's a hard habit to break, though, I have to say.
Yes, for sure. And but I had more trouble. It was easier for me to make the conversion from OpenSCAD to OpenSCAD than it is to like I was saying MK3 for the longest time for my Prusa instead of the Mark III. So that was like a harder mental shift for me.
Yes,
totally.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what we had, like a little variable that we would put in for the name. Also, a while ago, I did a little spinning Pokestop, and that was all OpenSCAD code that I had uploaded. Oh, I did Valentine's. That one, back in Thingiverse, you could do like little customizer tools, and I think you probably can do that on Maker World too, where you upload your OpenSCAD script and the parameters their website would prompt people for. So I had little Valentines that people could type in the name and customize their Valentines. Anyways, yeah, it's the Wordle pin. Sorry, I have done a lot of OpenSCAD.
Yes, you have.
I did a little web app a while ago where you can upload your Wordle results, and it would make a command line call to OpenSCAD with the parameters to make the 3D model that you can download and then print your own Wordle pendant.
Wow. I mean, that would be kind of a fun thing to print every day, especially if you get it on the first try. I think
Yeah,
you've done that once or twice.
I was printing them every day for a while, but then I ended up with a huge collection of little Wordle pendants.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I both of you all have programming backgrounds, so I was not the open SCAD that I'd use, OpenSCAD stuff that I've done has been more using the user interface and customizing according to those rather than manipulating the variables. But I don't know if I get like a month off, maybe once I retire. How's that?
There you go. So I'm learning more Fusion now. My son's actually teaching me because he's learning from at school, and it's very powerful. Like some of the things, some basic things would take me a lot longer in OpenSCAD. But OpenSCAD, I don't know. It's just
you made that switch fast. Like
no, I'm gonna go back. It's just because you kept saying it, but don't worry, I'll revert. It's a very different mindset, and in some ways, the not having so many options and buttons and things like has been very focusing for me. In that, like most of my models aren't really focused on fancy geometry, sculpting, or anything like that, right? It's more how do I create an effect, and so it's kind of forced me down a different path from most people. So I'm not, there's so much I want to learn in terms of like 3D modeling, and I think it will, as I continue to learn, I keep bringing new things to each project. So I'm not going to say that it's great to have this split or anything. Like it's nice to learn a little bit at a time, but to have this core piece that really forces me to think differently than many of the projects out there.
Wow. Mike, when you mentioned making effects, and so
I'll put them on the screen here.
I didn't know you were going to show this. I would have worn a different shirt tonight.
Oh. But here on screen is kind of an example of the effects that he can pull off.
Wow. Oh wow, there you are.
Yeah. So
he's famous.
They showed a lot of my stuff. I was very happy. I'm actually an introvert by nature, and but after having some doing some things I was proud of, I just kind of like on a long shot, I'm like, okay, how do I tell this story? So I reached out to Action News, like they have like their community group, and was saying, pointing out that I have this new model that I'm giving away for free, and people can kind of use it as a way to connect with their families over the holiday, have a new experience where they customize this model. So it was the ornament. Yeah, there you go. So you can put any message you want on it, and I take them through step by step how you do that. So it teaches about 3D printing, but you also end up with like this artifact that can come out every year and remind you of that time that you spent learning it together. So I thought that would be a fun thing, but I needed a way to get that message out for people to do it. So that's why I reached out to Action News, and I was shocked that they got back to me that they were interested. But yeah, it was
wow.
Is this which model did you made one that has like a proposal like will you marry me, like a generic one?
Yeah, so you can do that with the ornament. It's this is the ornament. It's also the image behind me there. So I started out with first just the top secret model, which was more basic, and that's actually the more popular one at this point. But after playing with it some more, I'm like, hey, I can make a Christmas ornament version. That way you can hang it on the tree,
right.
Take it off and spin it, and you get that effect. And there's the two modes of it. This is the regular one, which has the LED, and then I like to do things that seem magical without requiring electronics, because I think electronics has kind of desensitized us.
I think so. Well,
so this, there's no LED. You just shine a light from on top, and you spin, and you get the same effect.
Wow.
So when I talk about electronics desensitize it, to me, it's like when everything is possible, then it's hard to like surprise people. And with electronics, it's like I'm not against technology or like obviously 3D printing, right? Like
right.
I love all this stuff, but it's when you're a kid, everything is new and wondrous, and then as you grow up, you those moments may become less and less, and like you see with AI, like new things will come out, and first it's very surprising, and now it's just like, okay, of course it does that. So that's why I like to go back to simplicity, where it's like if you can do something that's unexpected with something very basic, then that becomes surprising, and you kind of generate that, you spark wonder that way.
Mm.
Absolutely. And you know, the like when you're talking about what do you think is like your I'm gonna say your goal, or what is your aim for approaching your designs and putting your designs out in this kind of with this kind of genre? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the time it's just an idea, and I'm my own audience. Like, is this possible? You know, it's play, right? It's like when you're a kid and you're playing and you're trying new things, real creative play, and you don't know you're testing the limits and seeing what's possible. You know, I'm not necessarily like, I'm not trying to create brand new inventions. I'm trying to iterate on things that are there and do new things, right? Like zoetropes existed for ages, but you know, can you miniaturize them, right? The difficulty with a large zoetrope, right? You're looking through slits at an image, but if you want to make like a small toy with it, you'd really have to be like peeking inside, and so that's difficult. So that was kind of the part of the challenge with these devices, was like, how do I is there some other approach that you can use the same general idea of you know, like, instead of slits, I changed it to pinhole tunnels, but something that you could see from afar. And in this case, the way the pinhole tunnels are arranged become the animation, instead of looking through it like a picture of a horse galloping. So it's, to me, again, it's just like, is this possible? And then trying it, and once I get something that works, okay, now how do I bring this? How do I tell this story to the world? So I usually don't have like a great form factor at the beginning, right? It's just like, how can I get the effect to work? And then once I do it, I start thinking about, okay, now how can I bring this to the world in a way that people will enjoy it?
Wow, and the effects, you do that very effectively. And you talk about the zoetrope, and then of course you saw the static top that had different colors, and then the rainbow, and of course when it spins, it's rainbow colors.
Yeah, I have a couple of those. And I didn't know what, so I did this in OpenSCAD, still got it. I didn't know what this would look like when I designed it. I just knew I wanted to blend 3 colors, and maybe it will show up on camera if I just kind of go back and forth. I think it kind of works.
Oh, it turns purple.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. But it does the full gradient. So I knew I wanted to create that gradient effect. So I programmed it, and then it looked kind of like just a mess, because it was like half was one color and half was another. But I'm like, okay, maybe if I repeat this a certain number of times, but it ended up looking like almost like a circus tent. And that wasn't like intentional. It was just like iterating on it until, you know, until it looked like something that people would enjoy.
Well, I mean, you'll certainly achieve that. Go ahead, Victor.
So with those iterations, I assume you have a big bucket full of just previous revisions.
I didn't have to print this one too. Well, I have a lot of prints of this in different colors, because dialing in the right colors to get a nice gradient was difficult. I have to look back and see which filaments I used exactly, but I tried many different filament combinations, because it's not as easy as you think when you're blending these solid colors as opposed to light. Like it gets muddy very quickly. So it's hard to get a green band in there, but with the right, you know, picking the right yellows and blues, I got a thin green band, so I get the full rainbow. So that was where most of the, I do a lot of iteration, you know, before I print, right? So it was just like in OpenSCAD, looking at the design, and just kind of tweaking until I was happy with it.
Wow. And with your pinhole zoetropes, is it one line going all the way around, or do you have to repeat as you go around the diameter of the spinning top?
So I'm usually doing a combination of animations and hidden text, and they kind of work a little differently. The animations is 16 different frames of animation, and it repeats very quickly. So
yes, it does.
So you need to design an animation in a way that when it repeats, it's not like disconcerting. Like if you have a walking person, but like 5 times a second it's repeating, it's just like, it looks like a blur, right? So you have to use some sort of like symmetry almost. So like, you know, if you have like a spinning disc, well, if it only spins, you know, 1/12 of the way around, but it has 12, you know, poles, or, you know, axes, then it will look, you know, then the animation will repeat. So there's certain kind of classes of animations that you can do with this effect that end up looking slow enough to work
for somebody to pick up.
Yeah, so that's across 16 frames of animation. But then there's the text piece, which is it's almost the opposite thing that you're trying to achieve. Instead of motion, you're trying to achieve a nice solid image. And so the problem I had with some of my earlier designs was there was a lot of blurring going on. And so that kind of led to the thought of like, can I harness this in some way? So instead of repeating the same dots in every frame, it uses different dots. So they just look like scattered dots, but when you spin it fast enough, then they all blur together into a letter.
Wow.
And I can show you what that looks like in OpenSCAD as well.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yes, it will.
Or can create, I can also demo the device.
Real quick, I think I heard maybe on the Meet the Polymaker, didn't you in your studies use studied visual perception, or you helped a professor with? Okay.
Yeah, I worked in I mean, my main my major was computer science, but I did a minor in cognitive psychology, and so much of the time it was over the summer, but sometimes during the school year as well, I was working in a visual perception lab, doing like stereoscopic, like he was setting up like an early 3D wall where you like wear a head tracking device, and so he wasn't doing this for like the spectacle of it. He was doing it because he wanted to run scientific like perception experiments where you really needed to be particular about what each eye saw, and there was no like good commercial product that could do that. And it was like very sensitive to the equipment you were using. Like at one point, I wanted to JPEG encode the images that we're seeing so that it could quickly switch between them. Like as you move around, it would show different images, and that like he couldn't like that was too imprecise, right? Because you get like the compression artifacts. Like it had to be like perfect PNG or TIFFs or whatever to be the exact right image. So he had very meticulous standards that we had to meet in that lab.
Wow.
Do you keep in touch with him?
It's been a long time. Yeah, so I moved out to so this was in Philly, but then after graduating, pretty quickly moved out to Washington State, and I was at a large tech company for 20 years, and so I guess I should probably reestablish some of those connections that I had before I left, but it's like a whole separate world at this point.
Still fascinating though. That's an amazing way to kind of to get to this point and understand how perception works and programming works and how we put things together.
Do you think if you didn't have
that, a little bit of a lot of stuff. What's that? Sorry.
If you didn't have that background, do you think you would be making the same things that you are making today?
I mean, I think some of my interest is there, but in terms of how effective I'd be at some of it, it's hard to know. I think it gives you different intuitions of what to approach. It's not like it's not like as I'm coding this, it's like, oh yeah, I've programmed this particular algorithm before or anything like that. But it's just it's more just where my interests lie, I guess, and intuitions that have been built from all that exposure, what will work and what won't. Because like there's like, as we haven't really talked about my crowdfund much, but there's multiple chapters to it. It's a device that so I want backing up, I guess, a little bit to introduce it. So I think there's I really enjoy like playing puzzle experiences, and there's a lot out there that you can print. But I think the shame is that usually you're printing it for someone else, and then they can enjoy the puzzle, right? Usually when you print it, you know what the solution is. So my goal with this project was something where the maker actually is the player, where you don't know as you're printing it what the answer to the puzzle is.
Oh yeah.
These optical effects. So and you can't discover what the solution is until after you printed it, use the device, and then that unlocks the next chapter where you see another video, you download another model, and again, you don't know what that model does until you print it. You don't know the solution to it. So there's 3 chapters in this adventure. Designing those puzzles using this new kind of optical language that I'm developing was a challenge because there's not much there's really nothing out there that I could compare it to. So like one of the challenges I faced. So as you progress, we've been talking about like the basic version of the device where you see animations or text. In order to, once I got to a large device like this, I really had to direct the light better. So it was like to a particular focal point. In my earlier versions, everything was just kind of like parallel coming out at you. And that was fine for a small device, but to see the whole at a time, I really had to direct it. Once I did that, I realized, hey, I can have multiple perspectives now. Each gets its own message, or each gets its own animation. So what I was trying to do in one of these chapters is you have multiple perspectives in the device that you have to move around, and you look at two of them at a time with your eyes, and it will, as they kind of merge together, you're going to see something. But that doesn't behave exactly as you think. Like there's nothing that I knew from my past that I could kind of draw on to see. So just lots of experimentation. At first I tried to do things with like underlining certain letters, and the underlines were on one screen, were on one perspective, and the letters were on another. But what I've learned is your eyes really, and I'm sure other people know this, so I'm not saying it's completely new science, but I didn't know this, that your eyes really like to have something in common that they can lock on. And even if you have some of those things, the elements in your vision that aren't in common, you'd think would just be like at the right place compared to the things that are locked, but it's not necessarily true. So you get like some things locking and other things that are just like free floating, and you cannot figure out, like in your vision, they just go like this. And you're like, I have no idea. Is this supposed to be under here? You just kind of shift your eyes a little, and now they're like this. And so lots of experimentation to kind of get puzzles that work with human perception. So some of my experience in the past has given me intuitions about what kinds of puzzles work, and then sometimes it breaks down.
Amazing. And so for your Kickstarter, or not, it's not your Kickstarter, but your GoFundMe, right? It's
crowdfunding on MakerWorld, not crowdsourcing.
Crowdfunding.
I made that mistake earlier today.
Right, and so the idea is that we would get the first one, figure out the first clue, and then go on to the second one.
Yeah, exactly.
I
have a lot of light in this room. You need to view this device in the dark.
Oh, hold on. Let me get you full screen. How about that?
Might help, but
all right, go for it.
All right, so this is just a one perspective.
Wow. Okay.
It really pops in the dark. Okay. You can see the letters. And so if I go slowly, you see how you can still kind of see the animation shape a little bit, but the letters are encrypted basically, right? I mean, it's encrypted, but visually you can't tell what they are. They just look like specks. And so you need to spin it fast for them to blur together.
Wow.
Otherwise, again, they just look like that. So this is one perspective. I'm actually playing around with a version that's 4 different perspectives here. This is just hot off my printer. So this has an LED, but the version that I'm really trying to advertise more just uses this glow stick here. So you just stick this inside, so no electronics.
And glow sticks alone feel magical and
exactly
like being at the beach.
All right, yes. So just 4 perspectives here. It's a ball rolling on an endless track. So you can see
I see the ball now. Yeah.
There's another.
Wow.
It's hard to line up on this camera here. You can see 2 of them at a time, and then here's another from the side, and then from this side as well. So you get there. You get 4.
Wow.
And they're positioned at basically a kind of an average interocular distance that you can move your head back or forward if your interocular difference deviates from the average. But so that way you get 2 of them at a time. So you get a 3D effect, but you can get the 3D effect from 3 different viewpoints. So you kind of get some parallax as you move around.
Wow.
So it's hard to demo. This is what I'm working on now.
It's come along very nicely.
Is that part of the same adventure, or would that be a different?
I'm gonna release a bunch of stuff afterwards as well, just to the community. So some things are adventure, like the puzzles are part of the adventure, and certain effects will be part of the adventure. But this version is a standalone one that I'll be releasing later.
Wow.
And
Okay.
how long were you planning? I mean, when you look at this crowdfunding, I mean, there is so much here, like not just the 3D models, just the story and everything. How
Yeah.
long were you working on this?
If I had thought ahead of time what this project was going to be, I'd be like, no, that's impossible. Um, it actually just started. The thoughts for it started over the holidays. So again, it was kind of fresh off the ornament, and I'd seen this being on the news. Like my friends and family, some of them, more of them were trying to use it. They were interested in it, and I noticed how much some people, struggle to spin a top. So I realized I was kind of limiting my audience somewhat. So I wanted to do something that was easier to use.
Oh,
So
look at that.
that's where I started thinking about changing the form factor, going vertical, horizontally instead of vertically, and that free, like once it was no longer a top, I could make it bigger.
Right.
I have to worry about this would be impossible to spin anymore. So everything just kind of it was like one step after the next. So I started on the physical development at the beginning of January, not with any idea of like making a story out of it. Once I made it bigger again, I had to solve the problem about where it directed light. Once I solved that problem, I could add multiple perspectives. Once I had that, I'm like, this is really cool. I want to just release it now. And then thought back to how I released some of my earlier stuff and how I could have kind of done better with that, like with the top secret one, where it's like, hey, this is a secret message top, and people are just going and customizing and making their own secret messages. But I really want to do something that appeals to the person who's making it, so it's a secret message for them. The first version of this actually was that. It was a Rickroll top, and I posted it, but immediately people are like, it needs to be customizable. So I pivoted to that, and that's pretty much what everyone ever saw. So I've always kind of regretted that I didn't create this experience that makers could feel connected to. So that got me down the road of like, okay, how do I tell a story with these messages? What could that story be? If it was just like an ancient secret message device that you have, like, then why are you printing it, right? That would be found in some cave somewhere, some laboratory. So what justifies you printing it? So I really wanted the person printing it to feel like they're part of the story, and they're rewarded by, they print it and they get this message and they can advance. So it just kind of led to that. So yeah, at the beginning of the year, beginning of January is when it started, but it wasn't a grand vision. It was just the progression that kind of got me there. So it didn't take terribly long before it progressed enough that I created the crowdfund from it.
Wow, that's amazing.
I'm like blown away, because that was January and it's not even the end of March yet.
No.
So that's
a lot of the times, honestly, just been trying to figure out how to tell my story, because it doesn't fit neatly into any category, right? It's not this or this, is it an escape room? Is it an ARG, alternate reality game? It's optical illusion. Like what's drawing people to it? There's lots of things, but it's hard to figure out, like, what do you lead with? How do you what's the right audience for it even?
Wow. Well, I mean, it's a pretty generous audience so far.
Yeah, I'm very happy. I think it's one of those things that I at least hope that the first round has a great experience with it, and they tell their friends, and because it's one of those things that you look at it, it's like, this is a weird project. Like, is it really going to work? You can't really get word of mouth until people have tried it. So I'm hoping it takes off even more in the future. But I've been really happy with the reception so far.
That's excellent.
Yeah,
that's excellent. Wow. And it's really amazing that your first 3D printer, we talk about this all the time, was only 2 years ago. So it's that's like 0 to 1,000 very, very quickly. So congratulations on that. Vicky, do you remember hearing about the digital sundial? Had you ever heard about the digital sundial?
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never printed it.
Can you pull up a picture of that real quick?
Yeah, you guys banter and I'll try to.
Yeah, and so Mike, it sounds like you've got some game design kind of speech patterns in there. Are you familiar with game design at all?
I mean, I haven't designed a game, but I've played some, so maybe I picked
plenty of games. Okay.
And at school, I did some virtual world stuff. Like for one semester, but very limited background.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Well, it seems. I mean, because you're really thinking deeply about the end user experience, and really we're talking about the community kind of joining in with that too. So we're really looking. I'm looking forward to jumping in on this crowdfunding experience too.
Thanks. I
Seeing
mean,
how
I think it will appeal more to like a technical audience who can appreciate. Like again, I'd love to show how I made it. I think it pops out. Oh yeah, I've seen this. This thing's cool.
Oh, okay.
Try to rewind it. Oh, here it goes. It's gonna start over again.
Is this what I think? Yeah, yeah. So similar kind of idea about
so you can see
directionality of light.
Yes. And I was, as you were talking about it, I was certain that you had been printing for years and years and years, because I printed this one probably a decade ago, maybe a little less. That, but when I saw your tops at 3D Printopia, this is the first thing I had thought about. When I saw your project, I said, oh, this looks very much like the whole idea behind the digital sundial.
Yeah, they work on a similar principle.
Yes.
And that's, when I got started, it was literally I was watching light streaming across the room from another room, and that got me thinking to like, the sun as it shines through clouds, and you watch the rays of light, and I'm like, okay, obviously we know that light is directional, but like really just seeing that, okay, it's traveling straight. I wonder if I could use that in a way to create a fun effect.
Wow.
Was this your wife's rainbow room?
Yes, it was. With lots of crystals in the window, and usually the rainbows are contained to that room, but occasionally you get the right angle and it shoots across the house.
Wow, that's great. That is great. Wow.
You never know where inspiration's going to come from.
Man, and so well, what other things might so Mike, you talked about using 3D. I'm talking about using OpenSCAD, and
yeah, also I can share my screen and show you what that looks like if you want.
Oh yes, please.
Yes. Oh, that'd be great.
All right, let's see. Present, share screen. I'll just talk you through it. All right, let me know if you can see that.
All right, I'm gonna add it. I'll go ahead and make it full screen.
Okay, it looks like it's
wow. Okay.
There you
go.
All
right. So I've kind of been improving this to make it easier for me to visualize. So you can see here, I have this planet. I'll talk about the colors in a moment. This represents the center of the device. You can still hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. And I've kind of cut this window through the device so we can compose a scene. And if I keep scrolling back, these are your eyeballs. So you're seeing. So the goal here is for you to see this planet, as in the way that if the light from each of these points was traveling to your eyes. So that's what we're trying to accomplish, and we're trying to do that for 16 frames of animation. So OpenSCAD isn't really a tool designed for animation, but when you're talking about kind of simple spinning or there's certain things you can kind of hack in. So that's what I did, is I hacked this. So I changed it from index 0 to 1. So that's the first, the next animation frame. So you can kind of see what each frame looks like.
Wow.
So
okay.
See that move? All right. So I don't need to go through all of them. So let's see. I'll talk about the
significance of the yellow, black.
Yeah. So the colors. So each of these dots, so green represents points that both eyes can currently see. Blues can only be seen by the right eye, because even though it looks like maybe like this, so the yellow can only be seen by the left, and so it looks like maybe this eye should be able to see the yellow, but imagine that this is actually a solid planet, so it would be obscuring. So if we kind of come to the side here, right, it's on the second half, it's behind.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what's going on with the color. And the black are points that neither eye can see. Now I could just have shown all of them all the time, and then it would just look like a wireframe planet, but I wanted it to look like a real physical objects kind of. So yeah, so that's what the colors are. And then so now I want to project this out. So I'm gonna change it from spheres to the light rays. And so now this is each of the points connected to the eye and behind as well. So this is how the light travels through the device. And now we wouldn't want to use all of these light rays because we'd be like removing parts of the cylinder that don't make sense. Remember, the light source is going to be inside the cylinder, so we just want to create holes to that light source.
Gotcha.
So now I have this intersection parameter here, and once I turn that on, this is the section of the light rays that for basically this one frame of animation that we want to do. And just to kind of again show that, you know, the animations I can still kind of go through, you know, these are how the different frames look. So then from there, all it is just doing all 16 frames and spinning it around the device so that when you spin the device, you get those. So I'll just change the composition mode here.
And then when you did the color coding, you did that, like you determined which ones that both eyes could see.
Yes, yeah, there's some math there. These holes, by the way, are a little bigger than the ones that I use, just so you could see them well on camera. But otherwise, the same idea. So this is the full set for the animation. I have some little markers here just to let me position it better. And so this is what's subtracted from the sphere ultimately, or from the cylinder, not the sphere.
How many these are the pinholes? How
many? I've never actually counted. Are there? You know, you'd think I would have, but a lot. The bigger things, just make sure they don't overlap too much, and it's okay if they overlap some if they're pointing different directions, because they're not going to overlap, you know, completely, and the integrity will be preserved. It's only when they're like facing the same way. So for the most part, it's not a problem. And so that's how it works.
Do you have them? Are they in an array? Your little pinholes?
Sorry.
Do you have them? What did you put them in an array that gets drawn, like all the little?
No, I don't have to an OpenSCAD, right? I just go through and say, like, create this. You know, I just iterate through for each animation frame and for each.
Oh, okay.
Right? I'm just drawing it as I go.
Okay.
Letting OpenSCAD do the thing. Hold on, I want to go back to the main. I'm composition mode true. It's always hard to edit code when people are looking, you know.
Right.
Going back to the original view, all right. So yeah, so from here, you know, I can compose different scenes. Here's the road one I was showing you earlier.
Oh yeah.
And so this one obviously goes off screen. It goes away from the. So we'll just cut off the ones that aren't needed.
Wow.
This one looks really fun when you draw the full rays. Actually, here I'll show you
that. Wow. Then the part above the mechanic obviously is almost what your brain is adding to the visual. Theoretically, like the part that's outside of the tube is what your brain essentially is imagining the road actually going.
Oh yeah. As you kind of project the road forward. Yep.
Wow.
You know, and Meet the Polymaker, you mentioned about sometimes you're designing and you reap the profits of accidental geometry. I think those little light rays, like it's a pretty geometry.
Oh yeah, there was almost
has interference patterns.
It was almost like a moire effect, yeah. And actually, that's one of the entries in my contest. There's like a whole moire artifact that someone created. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. So yeah, I don't have to keep sharing my screen, but
no. You're and so one other thing that I'm kind of picking up on is that you say there's 16 panels or 16 screens, but really are they taken? I'm looking at maybe 3 or 4 at a time.
You're looking at this is one just for 4 eyes. So it's only showing one at a time here.
Really?
Yeah. What I can either show one or all of them.
Okay, but let me ask you this, and then but this one screen, like screen number 2, has to overlap with screen number 1 then with its own set of dots. Is that right?
Well, it's rotated. Those 16 frames are rotated around the device so that when you spin the device, you see all of them sequentially. So there is some amount, right? Like this is not, if you look at like the side here, this window that I'm drawing in, it's not 1/16. It's more than that. So this frame's dots will overlap with another frame's dots, but they're going in different directions, those holes. So they'll overlap in one spot, but the whole not through the whole material. So they'll get a little blurrier where there's interference like that, but as long as you don't have too much interference, it stays pretty clear.
Wow. Okay. That's that's impressive. I really like there's a lot of thought and imagination and vision that has to go into something like this, Mike.
It's been an iterative process. What can I say? Like, it started out with just some much more basic effects. I originally wasn't doing it all in OpenSCAD. I was creating animations like in HTML actually.
Really?
And then outputting as like PNG files and converting those to SVGs and then bringing those into OpenSCAD. And in some ways, like that was it was less restrictive, but it was not very repeatable. It was very slow. Once people wanted the custom version, like custom text, I couldn't do that anymore. So I need to figure out how to bring it all into OpenSCAD. The problem is OpenSCAD is not an animation tool. You can't actually watch the animations happening, right? With the HTML, the nice thing is like I could actually play the animation. Here I can just do it kind of one frame at a time. But it's for my purposes, that's been more than sufficient.
I hear you.
Yeah, well, even that older process, that's still very innovative. Like, oh, okay, PNG, SVG, like pull it in, like to figure out how to make it work in the tool that you're working with is pretty neat.
Yes,
yeah. There was a lot of stuff that was much more like me approximating, right? It was like creating these dots, and then I was extruding those dots in OpenSCAD. So instead of like drawing light rays, it was just literally like just extruding these shapes and then figuring out like what were the right shapes that wouldn't blur too much.
Wow.
So it's a lot of playing around.
Yeah, I bet. Wow. Okay. Good. Wow. This is behind the scenes on the adventure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you saw it here first.
You know, it's if they're just in it for the puzzles and the videos, you know, I don't think, you know, that's not what's unique about this. I think it's the whole thing together.
Right. Oh, most certainly. Yeah. Wow. There's so many different directions you can go. You can make the light more powerful inside and project, and all those things too. Yeah.
Yeah. Mike, I don't want to put you on this spot.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh darn, I interrupted the flow. Would you be able to pull up one of them in the slicer? We can see the cross sections.
Oh yeah. Okay. Let me demo. I have to wait for Bamboo Studio to launch before I can start sharing that screen.
No worries, but you can finish your thought that I rudely interrupted you.
I just want to shout out to so for part of this adventure is there's a portal where you enter the codes right to download the next component. And so Perplexing Labs, he had reached out to me on Reddit when early on when he had seen Top Secret, because he's doing customizable OpenSCAD types of his site is basically like a really cool parameterized model generator that's built on top of OpenSCAD. So if you ever heard of like he does like all this Gridfinity, it's gridfinity.perplexinglabs.com. I'm pretty sure. Maybe I'm butchering his URL. Hopefully not. So that's his site. So I'm going to get more stuff since I do a lot of customizable work. I'm going to get more stuff onto his site. But he was gracious enough to host the portal for this fun project as well.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah. No, this is not the last we'll hear of this concept, but not by a long shot.
Let me share. I can share my screen now. I always talk to myself whenever I'm sharing screens.
Take your time.
Here we go. And then we'll have to wait for it to actually slay. So the geometry is, not super simple. So you can see little holes there. I also have Latin text, and it's different for each chapter as well to give it a little more flavor. So I'll let people decide what the text is. But we'll slice it. I'm actually, so for most of my models, I tend to use the Arachne slicer. So I guess this is great to talk about on this, how do you slice it? So in this case, I'm using classic just because it was so much like this took forever. For top secret, I was able to use Arachne, but I think at some point I blew past what was feasible. So classic seems to be working fine for this. I haven't noticed a difference. I've noticed it in some of my other stuff actually. That it's funny for like the simple part, like I guess you can't see what I'm holding up to right now, but like the little light diffuser that's inside, which is so simple, that needs Arachne. Otherwise, it prints slightly too big and won't fit in the cylinder.
Oh wow.
No kidding. What
I'm gonna switch this over to line type. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, I was interrupting. And is this? I mean, it doesn't seem unreasonable to ask: is this 0.4 millimeter or is this a 0.2 millimeter nozzle?
Oh, look at them go!
0.4.
Beautiful.
So some of the pinholes.
That some
no, because they're angled.
If you get in the middle, it looks like a party. Like again, this is just one of those discoveries, right? Like, and the reason for that is because it's pointing towards both eyes. Some of these tunnels point up and some point down, and then as you get to the end, then they're each pointing either up or down, right? Because the eyes are more towards the center at that point. So you get like the one direction, and then as you get in the middle, they just start dancing.
It's beautiful, like
it
that.
Really is
wonderment right there. Before
I know.
Yeah.
The wonder and just the discoveries, right, of what like physics does. And
yes.
Never quite know what you're going to find.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This I can definitely just looking at this pattern. It feels like magic, really. Wow.
So this is which cylinder are we at? This is one of the planet ones. So this is about 12 hours 40 minutes to print. It's it definitely, with all these extra walls here, makes it take longer than you would think, but I think it's worth it.
And you say 12 hours?
Oh, no.
Yeah, 12 hours and 40 minutes.
Okay. And so like have you gotten any feedback? I mean, like let's say you know someone that has a P1S. I don't know, maybe they haven't tightened their belts in a while. Like who would do something like that? But
I'm horrible at keeping up with maintenance. In my view, there's people who love 3D printers and there's people who love 3D printing, or actually maybe there might be a third camp of people who love the things they can 3D print. Like the process of 3D printing, like I don't hate it or anything, but that's not my, like I'm sure I have so much more to learn there. But then 3D printers, like I just cannot keep up on the maintenance.
Okay.
So, like I've never tightened my belts. I'm so behind on like the Z-axis threads relubricating them.
Right.
In my one of my videos where I had Launchy going, one of my models going.
You know what Launchy is?
It comes down and it's squeaky. You hear it squealing. It's going, but it hasn't caused a problem yet.
No. What's Launchy again?
Sorry, I'm not trying to like name drop models. I was just
No. What's Launchy?
So Launchy, this I came up with out of frustration one day because I had posted a different magnetically balancing model and I thought was so cool, and then it was like crickets, and I saw all these other like things that looked like pretty low effort to me that were like trending. So I'm like, okay, why am I spending all this time on these models? So I'm just gonna come up with something that's really, really dumb. So this was like, it took me like an hour to do. And so the idea is you print it like it prints like this, and then when the build plate cools and the adhesion weakens, it fires the ball. So the ball isn't actually attached to the cup. They both print, right? They both print touching the plate. And so you just set it up, and then it just fires afterwards. And I posted about it on Reddit first when it wasn't even done printing. Like, is this thing gonna launch? And people were kind of like taking bets. They didn't think the bridging would work, but it surprisingly did.
That's very clever.
Yeah,
it's like a practical joke.
It's here. Want to see the first video of it launching?
Sure.
Yes.
I don't know how much me sharing a video is gonna work. If it's gonna be fast enough. Hold on, I need to.
Is it on your YouTube?
It is. It might be harder for me to find. Oh, it says video file. If I share a video file.
Oh yeah, that should probably
work. Here. It should show up for you in just a second.
I see.
So this was the first launch ever.
We'll make it. Oh no.
not a long video, don't worry. The one that's sitting there was the first failed launch attempt, and actually high-fived it on the way down.
You know, Mike, one thing that I have picked up on is, as I travel through time,
oh yeah,
more and more and more, is that people under 30, they have different classic music. Like, I know that from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. But there's another one out there. I promise you. There's another one out there. But it worked on me. I knew exactly.
I'm glad.
Yeah, it definitely had the awesome effect for sure. But that's like, personally, I feel like that's like the first practical joke I've ever experienced in 3D printing. So,
well, the Rickroll is supposed to be another, but yeah, if you have access to someone's printer and it's pointing at them, you can wake them up. Right? Like now, I don't think it would break the glass.
You know, I was expecting it to launch. I was expecting, but it's still like took me off guard. And yeah.
Can I say that I wasn't allowed to show it off at 3D Printopia?
Oh yeah, because our old venue had a no projectile rule, and it was very strict. But
this is like half a gram.
Yeah, we're going to be in the Pennsylvania Convention Center this year on September 26th and 27th. And
the Nerf folks are really going to love that. The Nerf folks are really going to be happy to see projectiles allowed again. So that's going to be great.
I did make a dice rolling version too. One of the comments that someone posted to that was longest game of D&D ever. So it it's a die on it. You have to usually wait about like 10 hours for it fully release. So
really? Varies. That's how long you were waiting?
That one was, I went to bed and I left the live stream going and had to go back to it. I've had some that have been as short as like an hour and a half after it's done, but I've also had people who like print them on like, a cool super tack plate and they're like, it's not ever launching.
No, it'll never move. Yeah.
It won't.
It's like like that pitch drop experiment with that really like viscous fluid that like only drops very rarely or whatnot.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yes.
You might, I guess you can set up your little time lapse and stuff like that, but you go to bed and you miss it when it launches.
But Bamboo did send me the P2S with no strings attached other than I had to post like my honest impressions. So I didn't want to make a video that was like, every other review video out there.
Right.
I cover the same thing. So I kind of hid my impressions at like the end of the video, but I made the whole thing. It was a P1S versus P2S. I had the two of them facing each other, each printing a launchy, and the P1S launchy kept failing, like it launched early or whatever, and like so I had to keep like resetting it. So the video, it's definitely an underdog story. I won't spoil the ending if you ever watch it.
Okay. I won't pull up the I was getting ready to pull up the video. But
no, it's a long video. It has
I'll put a link in the chat.
Play by play.
Wow.
I spent way too long in that video.
Well, works of art sometimes take time to produce. I think it qualifies. It qualifies. Definitely. Wow.
Yeah, the Launchy Shootout link is in the chat now. So
great.
Great. Excellent. Wow. And so you're going to finish out your quest, your game that you're doing through crowdfunding on Bamboo. But is there anything on the horizon that you are moving towards? Anything you get your eye on?
I'd like to take a project and see kind of, how far I can go with it. So I definitely want to do more with the Cryptatrope in terms of customizability and being able to compose different animations on it. But then I do think that there's an opportunity here. Like when I posted some of these things early on Reddit, people were saying, hey, this belongs in an escape room. So I've reached out to that community and have sent some kind of samples over to some folks in that space. So we'll see how that goes. I don't really quite know. I'm just putting out feelers. I'll tell you what my vision that I would love, and it's definitely a long shot at this point. But I think that the way that generally immersive storytelling, like especially like if you look at video games, the way it immerses you is pulling you more into its world. So like virtual worlds that, you know, like VR, right? It's you're sucked more out of reality, more into the virtual world, and those are fun experiences. But I think that with 3D printing, there's a lot more opportunity to take virtual worlds and bring them into the real world, or have a combination between them.
Yes.
So this crowdfund was really an experiment at how to do that, but using cutscenes, you know, video cutscenes instead of an actual virtual experience. And what I would love would be something like, you know, like a Myst kind of game or a Room series kind of game, if you're familiar with some of those. You know, you're exploring an immersive environment, but you find digital blueprints, designs along the way. And maybe for people who don't have 3D printers, in game you have a virtual 3D printer and you can print these things and use them in the game to solve puzzles and advance in the game. So it wouldn't just be for folks who have 3D printers, but as they're doing that, it's like, hey, these same objects that you're printing in the game also work in real life. Here's a link, you know, but you can get your own 3D printer, do this yourself. You can actually solve these problems outside of the emulated environment. And so something like that would be my dream. I don't know how to get something like that started. So one step.
It sounds like a fundraiser for a makerspace if I've ever heard one.
Yeah.
Lawrence has a makerspace.
Any help I can get, any help would be
sure.
Appreciated.
Absolutely. Wow, this is
I think it could pull new people in. Like, I think there's a lot of gamers out there, and you know, some gamers will get interested in 3D printing because, like, hey, I can make my character or something, right? And that's fun. But I think something that's fundamentally tied to their gaming experience could really bring a whole new crowd into our hobby.
Absolutely, I agree. I think I definitely appreciate your vision on that. You know, and it's not. It's and you're absolutely right. Many gamers have purchased 3D printers to print their characters, but it's the printing in service of the game. And what you're talking about is the experience. Printers providing an experience that is the game itself.
Yes.
Almost. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's that's thinking in 3 dimensions. That's pretty wild.
There you go.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you can do this in just 2 months, I think that.
Oh my gosh.
You can brute force your way into this.
Well, maybe.
Most certainly.
Yeah.
Most certainly.
One step at a time. We'll see where everything leads.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see myself. Do you want to show us? Well, yeah.
I'm throwing up the link to your link tree.
Okay,
so.
I do now have the domain primetowerdesigns.com. It currently directs to that same link tree, so you'll see the same content. But if you want something that's, you know, at some point I'll probably have a proper home page. Yeah.
We will.
And then on the same domain is where I also have now that portal that I was talking about. Yep. Prime Tower Design. That looks right.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Well,
my portfolio's there, so all my, you know, up until this crowdfund, all my stuff's been free for download, so that remains the case. And I with everything I do, I want to my goal is to create, you know, a free version to generate as much buzz and give back to the community as possible. So I will be providing kind of core effect versions that are outside of this game experience.
Oh, great. That's wonderful. And that will bring more and more, that will definitely bring more and more people to the opportunities and to the things that you've already put out there. So I think, well, no, you're not the first person has had that kind of that model, like where the free models drive to like to paid content, but you're the first person that I think really that I remember talking to where it's like the free models are just models, but like you're actually leading into a whole nother experience. It's like another level, which is I think is very, very notable. Very notable.
That's the experiment here, you know, like it's you know, are people looking for those kinds of experiences, you know, because I think it's hard when you're just providing like stripped down versions of a model, you know, as the free ones, and it's like, okay, it's hard to get people's interest with that. But here it's like, okay, you can get like the full experience for free, the full model experience, the full visual experience, but not the full like immersive story play along experience. So that's what I'm trying.
It's like watching the Super Bowl on TV versus getting tickets to the Super Bowl.
There you go.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I don't think that's. I don't think that that is. I don't think that is overblowing or exaggerating in any way the way you're talking about this. So looking forward to seeing it. Yeah, just let you know. We do catch up with people before our December show,
Oh
so
yeah.
we'll be looking to get an update from you for sure, Mike.
And
And
hopefully, Mike was an exhibitor at 3D Printopia last year, and it's going to be in his backyard this year. So hopefully we'll
if
see
you'll
him
have
again.
absolutely looking forward to it. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Come stop by, say hi.
Oh well, yeah, well we'll definitely be there. We'll definitely be there. 100%. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well,
I'm not running a registration desk this year, so I might have more time to.
You're not going to be glued to the
Yeah.
front. Yes.
But that's one of the best ways to see everybody, though.
It's true.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. 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 Well, I don't have any more questions, Vicky. Do you have anything else before?
No, I'm good. Oh, Mike, thank you so much for,
Yes.
and behind the scenes, everybody, Mike was actually scheduled for a month ago on February 17th. So he was patient enough to put up with some delays as, my family and I worked through, the passing of my mom. So thank you so much, Mike, for sticking with us.
Absolutely.
And we
Yeah.
should mention the Cryptatrope crowdfunding is still active for 8 more days, right?
Yeah, and so there's it's a lower price before the crowdfund ends, but this isn't one of those projects that goes away. So basically, backing the crowdfund is buying a ticket to the experience, and then once the crowdfund's over, you can also buy tickets to the experience at a slightly higher cost.
All right.
And then also soonish, right? You would be announcing your first, the winners of that first contest, right? The Old World.
The 23rd, Old World Magic. Yeah, it's Bamboo's recently started kind of experimenting with this whole designer-hosted contest idea. It gets kind of fresh ideas of what the contest themes are, and then different perspectives on judging. So I'm giving out my own Maker World points to fund the prize pool on this. And yeah, the 23rd is when all that's announced.
Yeah.
And also, although the winners also get tickets to the Cryptatrope experience.
Wow.
And Mike had to go through 615.
There's a lot. There are a lot of models in any contest that are not really part of the theme. I'll say that. So I was able to narrow down, but there was a lot to judge.
Yeah, and that these are the winners are going to be well vetted.
What's that?
The winners are going to be well vetted. You said you're printing.
I am printing some of the top models to, I just feel like, awarding like it might look great and then, it doesn't print. So
right.
So I'm trying. I want the winners to be deserving, and I know they will be. I've been very impressed by what I've been seeing. So I don't want to spoil anything.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not looking for a scoop, but yeah, I was just impressed that that you're inspiring others to share their models too.
Absolutely, this is a great contribution.
And that's really a lot of how I got started. As I said, was like there was the OpenSCAD contest, and even though I didn't enter that really motivated me, and I entered many different contests early on, and it's a good way to kind of get visibility on your work, and kind of progress from there.
Wow. Well, Mike, it's been really, really, really great talking with you. Really appreciate your time tonight.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely.
And thank you for everyone who's been watching. And we have our little thing, which we remind you that How Would You Slice That? We do stream live on Tuesdays that are prime numbers. Our next prime number is in 2 weeks, which will be March 31st. And we'll be joined, you may have seen him over at Twitch, or also 3D Printopia. We'll be joined by Big Jeno. And the boy, I should have something. Yes. Thank you everyone for watching. I don't want to fizzle out.
No.
Yes. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, everyone who's watching. And we hope to see you on the 31st or maybe in September at 3D Printopia. Thank
Most
you.
certainly. Bye bye. Have a good night.